Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only God of Law. We are 4dterminator.com, America's only 4D education service. I'm not a lawyer. This is not a law firm. We don't advocate that you don't support your human offspring. We simply advocate that you make them in private. Take care of them. All right. Today, I'm going to teach you about wage withholding. And what you can do is use this information and challenge the wage withholding and get it terminated. Okay? So, first and foremost, only 42 USC 666A3C non-custodial parents are subject to wage withholding. All right? In law, the mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. It does not say man. Genesis 1:26. The adult male of the human species above the age of puberty that begets young. Okay? So, the non-custodial parent is positively identified by a social security number and the legal name, the all caps name. All right, this renders it property under 20 CFR 422-103D. Look on the back of any social security card, it'll tell you this card is the property of the SSA and you must return it upon request. All right, it is not your card. You are merely the holder. All right, now, procedures, 45 CFR 303.100 procedures for income withholding only applies to a non-custodial pay rent. If you read 303.100, and you read it thoroughly, all right, you'll count the word non-custodial pay rent used in there 32 times. That means it only applies to a non-custodial pay rent. What are procedures? All right, procedures is a set of instructions in a record which describe in detail the step-by-step collection actions to be taken by 4D enforcement contractors and personnel in performance of specific collection methods, such as wage withholding, under the 4D business plan. The 4D agency issues general instructions on all 4D collections and delegates responsibility for the detailed 4D collections to the contracted courts and personnel actually performing the collections. All right, gentlemen, Title 4D, all right, the 4D crime family, the 4D agency, it is a collection agency. That is all it is. Okay, and I'll show you at the bottom when we get down here how it collects the money from a non-custodial pay rent. All right, so in determining what a law applies to, all you have to do is go to it. So 303.100A, general withholding requirements. This is a requirement. All right, the 4D agency must ensure that in the case of a what? Each non-custodial pay rent against whom a support order is or has been issued or modified in the state and is being enforced under the business plan. So much of its income must be withheld, all right, as is necessary to comply with an order. The non-custodial pay rent, gentlemen, is an it. It is the creation and property of the federal government. It is an ens legis. Okay, it is a creature of law. More importantly, it is property. Property has no rights. Okay, you as a man are by nature equally free and independent. A non-custodial pay rent is not. In addition to the amount to be withheld from each non-custodial pay rent to pay the current month's obligation, the amount to be withheld must include an amount to be applied towards liquidation of a 45 CFR 301.1 overdue support, which means delinquency pursuant to a 4D obligation determined under a court order or an order of an administrative process established under federal law, which is owed by the what? Non-custodial pay rent. All right, now you'll notice here I have court order and administrative process stricken out. Under Title 4D, there is no court order on the basis of the 45 CFR 302.34 contract. Any person who enters into a contract is a contractor. All right. Judicial power is vested by the Constitution, not a Title 4D contract. So, therefore, under this contract, number one, which is a separation of powers because the 4D crime family is in the executive branch, and of course, the court is in the judicial branch. They're not supposed to cross lines. Okay. So, constitutional power is vested in judges and courts, not 4D contractors. All right. And if you read their contract carefully, it'll tell you that these contractors, agents, and employees are not officers, agents, or employees of the state or the 4D crime family. So where did this alleged order come from? Administrative means it's not judicial. So there's no court order there. Okay? It's just that simple. All right. So herein, and this is directly from federal regulations right here, the income of the non-custodial pay rent shall become subject to withholding. Subject to. You're a man by nature equally free and independent. Free means not subject to control, restraint, limitation, or modification from any given outside source. Independent means not not subject to limitation, not subject to. That is your inherent right. You are not subject to anything. You are by nature equally free and independent. So it tells us clearly that it is the non-custodial parent's income that is subject to withholding, not you as a man. Now here is your remedy. The only basis for contesting a withholding under this paragraph is a mistake of fact of current overdue support. The mistake of fact of the current overdue support is that you are not a non-custodial pay rent, or the identity of the alleged non-custodial pay rent. Fine. Here's your identity. Who created the non-custodial pay rent? Genesis 1:26. And God said, let us create man in our image and likeness. Did you ever see that word non-custodial pay rent? Do you see the word person, obligor? All right. That's not what the almighty creator of the universe created. He created men. And even in the text, it tells that you, as a man, you're here to rule, not be somebody's bitch. Okay? So if you want, when you contest this, all right, number one, so if the second thing is the identity of the non-custodial parent. What is identity? The sameness in law of evidence, the fact that a subject, person, or thing before the court or addressed by is the same as it is represented, claimed, or charged to be. Gentlemen, the identity of the non-custodial pay rent is the social security number, which pursuant to 20 CFR 422-103D is property. Property has no rights. Okay. This is why they're able to circumvent the Constitution, all right, and do whatever dirt that they want to do to you. All right. And that's always in relation to a non-custodial pay rent. How do they do that? All right. Under the First Amendment to the Constitution for the United States of America, we have the right to assemble. All right. So that also provides for the right to associate. Okay. So when you are exercising your right to assemble, of course, you're coming together, right? You have the right to not assemble, and you have the right to not associate. Why would you want to come together and associate with a business for profit that is hell bent on basically enslavement? Okay, they're identifying you, so they converted you from your title of Genesis 1:26 man to the status of a non-custodial pay rent, which is property and has no rights. Now they can start enforcing Title 4D. All right, and gentlemen, there's no such thing as child support, so take that out of your vocabulary and your vernacular. All right, so as a man, all right, Genesis 1:26, God created man by nature equally free and independent, with indefeasible rights of enjoying and defending your life and your liberty, acquiring, possessing, and protecting your property and your reputation, and pursuing your happiness and your safety. Let me ask you a question. You can protect your reputation. Can a non-custodial pay rent? No, it cannot, because they report arrearages to the credit bureau, right? That destroys a part of your reputation. America runs on credit, gentlemen. Okay. So you have rights. Your inherent rights, you were born equally free and independent. All right. Your inalienable rights, life, liberty, happiness, pursuit of safety, privacy, all that good stuff. Non-custodial pay rent does not. And here we go. All right. So 42 USC 666A3C. Gentlemen, also, this is the mark of the beast. You have a right to religious freedom. All right. Just want to bring that to your attention. A non-custodial pay rent is positively identified as 20 CFR 422-103D property that has no inherent rights or inalienable rights or immunities and is subject by operation of law to punishment, all right, in order to collect 4D of the act in the form of liens on property, offset. All right, I'm not going to read all these right now. I'll put them up here so you can go back later. This is what a non-custodial pay rent is subject to. Okay, you as a man with rights aren't subject to this. This is punishment of property. This is a violation of the 13th Amendment, involuntary servitude. All right, slavery. It's peonage. It's oppression. Okay, it's also false advertisement. No such thing as the Child Support Enforcement Agency. Okay, that's a coined phrase, which by the United States Supreme Court in Blessing versus Freestone clearly stated that child support does not exist. All right, Title 4D was never intended to benefit individual children and custodial parents. All right, it doesn't create a right, and there's no entitlement to it. Hunt versus Ledbetter, the 11th Circuit said the legislative intent of Title 4D was to benefit the public treasury and the taxpayer. If you read, usually it's the second article in the Constitution, Bill of Rights for your state, it'll tell you that government was created to be a benefit, security, and protection of the people. All right, it wasn't created to run a business for profit and then enslave you so it could profit from that business. Gentlemen, I am the Amen Osiris. Okay, take this information and use it. Okay, study it. Do not take my word for it. Okay, it's right here in black and white. All you got to do is Google it. All right, take out your Black's Law's dictionary and start tearing down these words. Okay, if you are being subject to wage withholding, that means that you, without your knowledge or consent, have been converted to the status of non-custodial pay rent, which is property. Okay. I hear a lot of people say, oh, yeah, man, I want you to hear. And they said, well, we're not here for that. That's right, because you didn't walk in there as a man. You walked in there as property. Property has no rights. Okay. They're holding you surety in relation to a non-custodial pay rent, which is property. Okay. You have the right to associate again. All right. So you have the right to associate with that social security number, and you have the right to not associate with it. That's a protected right, gentlemen. Your protected rights are being trampled on. You have the right to be secure in your purses, houses, papers, and effects. The social security number card that you hold to obtain a new job, a bank account, or benefits from certain U.S. agencies, all right, that's a due process violation. Right? And they searched for it. All right. Your effect means anything that you're holding in your hand. They searched for that. Illegal search and seizure. Okay. And then they seized it. And then they legally searched for it, then they seized it, converted it to a non-custodial pay rent, right? By your association with it, converted you to a non-custodial pay rent whose income is subject to garnishment, who's subject to all kind of punishment as property. All right. Hit me up on hathorsehk at gmail.com if you need a consultation or if you'd like to attend one of my classes. All right. If you're tired of getting ripped off, gentlemen, all right, the time is now. The time is to fight. Okay. We will draft you a weapon of mass destruction so you can shove it up in the director of that business for profit's ass. So far, he'll be able to brush his teeth with it. You have your assignment, gentlemen. Do not take my word for it. Get your study on and hit me up, and I will teach you how to get rid of these clouds.